We had that as the big mantra. Every department head had that over their desk, which was, how do we do it differently? Find the fresh angle in what we are doing that is enough for an audience that has seen 20 exorcism movies to get excited about.
Daniel had us, when we first met, go into a room and he gave us these, it's like 25 questions that make people fall in love or something like this. I think that's what he said. Yeah. And he's like, you don't have to answer them, you know, it's up to you guys. But we went into a room and I think he just, you know, like unzipped, full chest out.
Word choice.
So it's been, which makes me feel old, it's been 12 years since you made the last exorcism, right? And obviously that was through the angle of found footage. So 12 years later, you're back with Pray for the Devil. What brought you back to the exorcism subgenre?
It's a very different movie. Yes, it was found footage, but story-wise, the underpinnings was that Last Exorcism is based on this question, is this girl crazy or is she possessed? And we only get the answer in minute 90, right? So that never allowed us to do any kind of supernatural stuff. She couldn't suddenly float and whatever, because then you would have known it's supernatural. And here it's the exact opposite with Pray for the Devil. They basically cut off the script, goes right in, cuts off the first 45 minutes that you usually go like, oh, I wonder if it's supernatural. I wonder if it's really possession, and says, guys, you bought tickets for an exorcism movie. It's probably real possession. Let's skip over that. Let's jump right in, you know? So suddenly you have the entire running time of the movie to do the set pieces, and you don't have to do them in exchange for character development and story. You have time for both, you know? So that is awesome. And then, of course, the main change was that everything changes if you have a female protagonist, because she doesn't just have to battle the demon, she has to battle the church. She has to battle the patriarchy. She has to battle for the right to even be allowed to battle the demon. And she is challenging something that is very non-supernatural, very in our world, which is an institution that has been doing this stuff the same way for millennia. And she is the first one to says, guys, we have to change stuff, which is what the church is more scared of than any demon, any devil, you know? So you suddenly have all these supporting characters that are really interesting, because are they supporting her? Are they uncomfortable with the change and there are obstacles in the whole thing? Everything about it changed. And because we said if we are having that strong female protagonist, which is such a buzzword, you know, we have to earn that. We can't just tell a movie and exchange the male character for the female character. She has to come in with a completely different approach. And in order to make that happen and to make that organic, we have to redefine in our mythology a lot of the things that you know from exorcism movies, which then gave me the chance to kind of do something that I felt was really fresh and really different, because everybody's just waiting to say, oh, this is just another Exorcist ripoff, right? That's the first thing that people have on their tongue before they even have seen the movie. So we were very aware of that, and we're like, okay, what do we do with that?
Probably the most fascinating part about this movie, I thought, was that this is one of the few that I think kind of delves into like the inner workings and sort of schoolings of the church in a very like focused way, right? And so for you, like, how do you research being a priest in training in exorcism school? And if I could, is there any truth to anything you've learned from this movie? Is it like, did you get access to things that I don't? You know, do you know something? If you could, you know, help the world out, maybe.
If I did, I wouldn't be able to tell you, would I? I went to Catholic school my whole life and Jesuit high school for the first 2 years of my high school. And so you're experienced to a lot of the mythos associated with Catholicism, right? And so I understood the world topically. I've never dealt with exorcisms or anything like that, but the premise of the movie itself is rooted in reality, in that all over the world, the Vatican has begun opening up schools for exorcisms because, interestingly enough, exorcisms are on the rise in 2022. So that premise is real. And when you approach the script from that place instead of this thing that's outside of you, it's happening in 2022 in Boston, in New York, in Rome. They're all opening these schools, right? So it grounds you a little bit more in the reality of the situation before you have these external, extra supernatural circumstances.
So Jacqueline Byers' character, Anne, right? I always felt that was a kind of a tightrope walk for you as a director and as a storyteller, because she has to be vulnerable, she has to be caring, but she also has to be strong, defiant. We have to engage with her, but we also have to believe in her, right? And to mess up a little, then you'd lose a character. and Byers worked together on the character of Anne. And was there something that she brought to it that you didn't see coming, or is there something that you brought to it that she didn't see coming?
I don't think I brought anything to it that she didn't see coming, because she brought everything. Like, that character is completely hers. The way it happened, I want to take credit for finding her so badly. I had nothing to do with it. I was the second director to come on board. The other director quit 1 week before pre-production started. And they sent me a tape saying, here's an actress, we'd love it if you loved her. And I was thinking, my director ego was like, no way, whoever this actress is, could be, Angelina Jolie and Meryl Streep in one. I already hate her. I'm going to find my own actress. And I'm pressing play on this tape, and it's 2 minutes of the best acting I've ever seen in my life. And exactly what you just brilliantly summarized, what the essence of this character is, she conveyed that in those 2 minutes. The entire arc, from the complete and utter vulnerability and being terrified, into transforming that into a rage, into a badassness, and powering through and suddenly becoming this strong female protagonist, and doing that all in front of my eyes without a cut. It was stunning. I had tears running down my cheeks when I was done with that tape. And we never looked at another person. I said, I really have to get over my own ego issues with not casting my own lead actress, that someone else found her, because I owe it to this movie. Like, she is so good. We would be crazy not to go with her. And then we were the first movie to go out during COVID. And we were stuck in Bulgaria in our hotel rooms with 10 days of quarantine. And Jackie and I scheduled this Zoom call, 3 hours. We'll go through the script. And what that meant to me, of course, was like, I, as the director, am going to talk her through line by line through the script. And we start the call, and she goes like, all right, let me tell you what I'm thinking. And for the next 2.5 hours, she is talking me through the script with all these brilliant, deep ideas and insights. She has this talent to make moments matter for the character that you didn't even know. I thought it was just her walking down a hallway, but when she talks about it and what that means and what she wants to convey, it's like, so I just basically said, let's do exactly everything you just told me, let's do that. And the most important thing, obviously, we knew that, was exactly what you were saying. She has to be terrified, because if she's not terrified, the audience isn't terrified, but she also can't be a scream queen. Like, that character doesn't scream once in the entire movie. So how do you walk that balance? And she just did it. Usually, I would say you still have a great ally in editing, because you pick those moments that you can kind of, create that balance. We didn't have to create anything. It was a painful process, because out of 8 takes, 7 were world-class brilliant. And you had to throw 6 of them away to decide to go which one. It was painful, but for all the right reasons. It was amazing.
So there's so many drafts of this script. So there are things that were in the initial drafts of the script that I wanted to carry through into this draft of the script. So the writer did a lot of underlying work. In preparation for this film, I worked with a therapist who's also an acting coach, and her name's Carolyn McCandlish, and she's a Meisner teacher, but she also graduated from Harvard with a psychology degree. And we did more work instead of acting on like the idea of trauma, where that lies in the body, fight versus flight. And that was a lot of the work that I did with Anne. In terms of working on it with Daniel, it's so funny. We would basically go scene by scene through the script and just try to see if we were on the same page of what was happening with Anne in this place. But when I first jump into a movie, I don't want to have all the answers yet. I don't want to know where the scene is necessarily going. I just want to have the questions that I want to pose when each scene begins.
So you said in a previous interview, and I wrote down because I found it kind of interesting, about how the expectations the audience has when walking into an exorcism film, because it's such a very specific and kind of small subgenre, right? And you said that they expect set pieces and that you have to deliver on those. So my question is, like, as a filmmaker, how do you deliver on the expectations set by the subgenre, but in a way that you as a creative feel you're doing something different, unique?
We had that as the big mantra. Every department head had that over their desk, which was, how do we do it differently? Find the fresh angle in what we are doing that is enough for an audience that has seen 20 exorcism movies to get excited about. And the person who sees the first exorcism movie, they might not even know the difference. They just see contortions, But take the example of contortions. For example, we said, okay, in our movie, there are two pilots battling over the steering wheel. It's the demon and it's the victim, and they're both fighting for control over the body. So why don't we make contortions an expression of that? It's not just contortions for contortion's sake, but I should be able to stop Jackie or stop Posey or any of the possessed characters at any moment and say, freeze, tell me what your right hand is doing right now. Like, who is this? Is this the demon or is this the possessed person? So then that became an expression of that struggle and that conflict, for example, which I haven't seen it done exactly that way before. So we have with almost all the exorcism set pieces that there is a slight reinterpretation for our mythology, for our movie, that doesn't betray what the expectation is with exorcism movies, but hopefully enriches it in a way that is interesting.
As an actor, it's like you want to try to make it the most organic new thing, you know? You don't want to follow in the tropes of reactions, you know? Like, you're always trying to make something new and at least authentic to yourself.
Yeah, I had a opposite approach a little bit in that I was not a fan of the genre. Well, not that I wasn't a fan, but I never watched. It wasn't something that I would go to first, right? And so I watched everything I could in terms of the genre, all of the classics and some of the new ones, and mostly to see what I didn't want to do and to see what I could bring to the role that would be unique to me and unique to the audience in 2022 as opposed to 1977 or whenever The Exorcist came out, things like that. You have to adjust for the time. Art is representative of the time. So I had to watch all of that to figure out what we could do differently and what we could bring that's new and refreshing to it.
Your mother has a pretty voice.
Be careful. Once you know the devil knows you.